3rd year of the rule of Judah's king Jehoiakim, Babylon's king Nebuchadnezzar came to Jerusalem and attacked it. Yah handed Judah's king Jehoiakim over to Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar also took some of the things used in Elohim's temple and brought them to Babylonia, to his own pagan temple, putting them in the treasury of the false deity he worshipped. One day, the king ordered Ashpenaz, his highest palace official, to choose some young men from the royal and leading families of Judah. The king said, "They must be healthy, handsome, smart, wise, educated, and fit to serve in the royal palace. Teach them how to speak and write our language, and give them the same food and wine that I am served. Train them for 3 years, and then they can become court officials." 4 of the young men chosen were Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, all from the tribe of Judah. But the king's chief official gave them Babylonian names. Daniel became Belteshazzar, Hananiah became Shadrach, Mishael became Meshach, and Azariah became Abednego. Daniel made up his mind to eat and drink only what Elohim had approved for his people to eat. And he asked the king's chief official, "Kindly grant us permission to not eat the food and wine served in the royal palace." Elohim had made the official friendly and kind to Daniel, but the man still told him, "The king has decided what you must eat and drink, and I am afraid he will kill me if you eat something else and end up looking worse than the other young men." The king's official had put a guard in charge of Daniel and his 3 friends, so Daniel said to the guard, "For the next 10 days, let us have only vegetables and water at mealtime. When the 10 days are up, compare how we look with the other young men and decide what to do with us." "Do as you have asked." 10 days later, Daniel and his friends looked healthier and better than the young men who had been served food from the royal palace. After this, the guard let them eat vegetables instead of the rich food and wine. Elohim made the 4 young men smart and wise. They read a lot of books and became well educated. Daniel could also tell the meaning of dreams and visions. At the end of the 3-year period set by King Nebuchadnezzar, his chief palace official brought all the young men to him. The king interviewed them and discovered that none of the others were as outstanding as Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, so they were given positions in the royal court. From then on, whenever the king asked for advice, he found their wisdom was 10 times better than that of any of his other advisors and magicians. Daniel served there until the 1st year of King Cyrus. During the 2nd year that Nebuchadnezzar was king, he had such horrible nightmares that he could not sleep. So he called in his counselors, advisors, magicians, and wise men. "I am disturbed by a dream that I don't understand, and I want you to explain it." They answered in Aramaic, "Your Majesty, we hope you live forever. We are your servants. Please tell us your dream and we will explain what it means." "No, I have made up my mind. If you don't tell me both the dream and its meaning, you will be chopped to pieces and your houses will be torn down. However, if you do tell me both the dream and its meaning, you will be greatly rewarded and highly honored. Now, tell me the dream and explain what it means." "Your Majesty, if you will only tell us your dream, we will interpret it for you." "You're just stalling for time, because you know what's going to happen if you don't come up with the answer. You've decided to make up a bunch of lies, hoping I might change my mind. Now tell me the dream, and that will prove that you can interpret it." "Your Majesty, you are demanding the impossible." "No, King, Not even the most famous and powerful has ever ordered his advisors, magicians, or wise men to do such a thing. It can't be done, except by the deities, and they don't live here on Earth. This made the king so angry that he gave orders for every wise man in Babylonia to be put to death, including Daniel and his 3 friends. Daniel, have you heard? Arioch was the king's official in charge of putting the wise men to death. He was on his way to have it done when Daniel very wisely went to him and asked, "Why did the king give such cruel orders?" After Arioch explained what had happened, Daniel rushed off and said to the king, "If you will just give me some time, I'll explain your dream." "I will grant you this one request." Daniel returned home and told his 3 friends. Then he said, "Pray that the Elohim who rules from heaven will be merciful and explain this mystery so that we and the others won't be put to death." In a vision one night, Daniel was shown the dream and its meaning. Then he praised the Elohim who rules from heaven. "Our Elohim, your name will be praised forever and forever. You are all-powerful, and you know everything. You control the events of man. You give rulers their power and take it away, and you are the source of wisdom and knowledge. You explain deep mysteries because even the dark is light to you. You are the Elohim who was worshipped by my ancestors. Now I thank you and praise you for making me wise and telling me the king's dream, together with its meaning." Daniel went back to Arioch, the official in charge of executing the wise men. Daniel said, "Don't kill those men. Take me to the king, and I will explain the meaning of his dream." Arioch rushed Daniel to the king and announced, "Your Majesty, I have found out that one of the men brought here from Judah can explain your dream." The king asked Daniel, "Can you tell me my dream and what it means?" "Your Majesty, not even the smartest person in all the world can do what you are demanding. But the Elohim who rules from heaven can explain mysteries. And while you were sleeping, he showed you what will happen in the future. However, you must realize that these mysteries weren't explained to me because I am smarter than everyone else. Instead, it was done so that you would understand what you have seen." "Your Majesty, what you saw standing in front of you was a huge and terrifying statue, shining brightly. Its head was made of gold. Its chest and arms were silver, and from its belly down to its knees, it was bronze. From there to its ankles, it was iron, and its feet were a mixture of iron and clay. As you watched, a stone was cut from a mountain, but not by human hands. The stone struck the feet, completely shattering the iron and the clay. Then the iron, the clay, the bronze, the silver, and the gold were crushed and blown away without a trace, like husks of wheat at threshing time. But the stone became a tremendous mountain that covered the entire earth. That was the dream, and now I'll tell you what it means. Your Majesty, you are the greatest of kings, and Elohim has highly honored you with power over all humans, animals, and birds. You are the head of gold." "What?" "After you are gone, another kingdom will rule, but it won't be as great as your kingdom."
"Cyrus the Great. Persia."
"Then it will be followed by a kingdom of bronze that will rule the whole world."
"Greece. Alexander the Great."
"Next, a kingdom of iron will come to power, crushing and shattering all the previous kingdoms, just as iron smashes and crushes everything it strikes."
"Caesar Augustus. Rome."
"The final kingdom in your dream will be divided. It will be both strong and brittle, just as you saw that the feet and toes were a mixture of iron and clay. This kingdom will be the result of a marriage between kingdoms, but it will crumble, just as iron and clay cannot stick together. During the time of those kings, the Elohim who rules from heaven will set up an eternal kingdom that will never fall. It will be like the stone that was cut from the mountain, but not by human hands. The stone that crushed the iron, bronze, clay, silver, and gold. Your Majesty, in your dream, the great Elohim has told you what is going to happen, and you can trust this interpretation. King Nebuchadnezzar bowed low to the ground and worshipped Daniel. Then he gave orders for incense to be burnt and a sacrifice of grain to be offered in honor of Daniel. The king said, "Now I know that your Elohim is above all other deities and kings, because he gave you the power to explain this mystery." The king then presented Daniel with a lot of gifts. He promoted him the governor of Babylon province and put him in charge of the other wise men. At Daniel's request, the king appointed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to high positions in Babylon province, and he let Daniel stay on as a palace official. King Nebuchadnezzar ordered a gold statue to be built 90 feet high and 9 feet wide. He had it set up in Dura Valley, near the city of Babylon, and he commanded his governors, advisors, treasurers, judges, and his other officials to come from everywhere in his kingdom to the dedication of the statue. So all of them came and stood in front of it.
"People of every nation and race, now listen to the king's command. Trumpets, flutes, harps, and all other kinds of musical instruments will soon start playing. When you hear the music, you must bow down and worship the statue that Nebuchadnezzar has set up. Anyone who refuses will at once be thrown into a flaming furnace."
As soon as the people heard the music, they bowed down and worshipped the gold statue that the king had set up. Some Babylonians used this as a chance to accuse the Israelites to King Nebuchadnezzar. They said, "Your Majesty, we hope you live forever. You commanded everyone to bow down and worship the gold statue when the music played, and you said that anyone who did not bow down and worship it would be thrown into a flaming furnace. Sir, you appointed 3 men in high positions in Babylon province, but they have disobeyed you." Those Hebrews, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, refused to worship your deities in a statue you've set up. King Nebuchadnezzar was furious, so he sent for the 3 young men and said, "I hear that you refuse to worship my deities in a gold statue I have set up. Now I am going to give you one more chance. If you bow down and worship the statue when you hear the music, everything will be all right. But if you don't, you will at once be thrown into that flaming furnace. No power can save you from me." The 3 men replied, "Your Majesty, we don't need to defend ourselves. The Elohim we worship can save us from you and your flaming furnace. But even if he doesn't, we still won't worship your deities in a gold statue you've set up." Nebuchadnezzar's face twisted with anger at the 3 men, and he ordered the furnace to be heated 7 times hotter than usual. Next, he commanded some of his strongest soldiers to tie up the men and throw them into the flaming furnace. The king wanted it done at that very moment. So the soldiers tied up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and threw them into the flaming furnace with all of their clothes still on, including their turbans. The fire was so hot that flames leaped out and killed the soldiers. Suddenly the king jumped up and shouted, "Weren't only 3 men tied up and thrown into the fire?" "Yes, your Majesty. But I see 4 men walking around in the fire. None of them is tied up or harmed, and the 4th one looks like a deity." Nebuchadnezzar ordered the 3 young men to come out at once. When they came out, the king's high officials, governors, and advisors all crowded around them. The men were not burned, their hair wasn't scorched, and their clothes didn't even smell like smoke. King Nebuchadnezzar said, "Praise their Elohim for sending a heavenly messenger to rescue his servants. They trusted their Elohim, refused to obey my commands, and chose to die rather than worship another deity. I won't allow people of any nation to speak evil of their Elohim. Whoever does so will die, because Yah alone
has power to save.
After this happened, the king appointed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to even higher positions in Babylon province. Daniel and his 3 friends had many more adventures, and Daniel was shown other visions and dreams from Yah, a lot of which are recorded in the book that bears his name in the scriptures. You can read about these things there, but I was inspired to illustrate these 3 chapters because they speak to our present captivity in spiritual Babylon. And Daniel and his 3 friends showed us how to behave while in this captivity, which meant being set apart from the heathens in the land by not practicing their customs. We are to obey the laws of Yah above the laws of the land. We are to live peacefully in the land and do what we are asked until we are forced to go against Yah's laws. Then we must resist and trust in Yah to deliver us. We must seek Yah first in all things through prayer and have no fear, even if the greatest power in the land is against us. Our faith and trust in Yah will see us through all the time. We will win in the end, young Hebrews, if we trust in Yah and serve and obey him. That is what this video shows. I hope it will aid you in your walk. Shalom.